Hello, snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host, Avran LeFeber, and this is the boot breakdown of the Salomon Launch Straight Jacket. Now remember, the best boot is the one that fits your foot and fits your needs, so get sized properly and get in the right boot. You know who you are. The Launch boot is a more freestyle focused boot in my opinion, which means you're going to have a little bit more flex with it having BOA on there, and it's only a single BOA with the shell. You're really going to be able to drive into it. On the shell, you've got a tucked seam around the front here. And so what this does is it actually protects it if you're hacking your edge into the toe of your boot. And then you got this synthetic nubucky material on there. Basically what this is going to do is protect that shell, give you a little bit of rigidity, but not a ton. And that way when you're resting your board on the edge, it'll hack it up, but it won't like cause it to delimb. The only spot to be worried would be this double stitch seam right where the eyelet is down here. If you're really hacking into that, that can cause an issue, especially because you do have the cloth cable for the bow instead of the steel cable. On the back spine, you got a multi-piece design, but it still does have this big cutout, so it doesn't go all the way up, and it's going to be a little more rigid at the bottom and then slowly taper into being more flexible at the top. This will work in conjunction with that articulation in there as well. And this is fairly deep. I would say you're going to be able to really just be able to flex into it as the boot breaks in. Right now, obviously, it doesn't take a lot of effort to get it to engage. So just understand that if you're going to ride these like 200 days, they're going to get soft on you. But if you're only going to be a casual rider, they'll probably be fine. Salomon says this is a medium stiffness, and I would tend to agree it's a little bit more of a freestyle friendly flex, if anything. With the sole of the boot, it's a two-piece design. The white section is softer foam. This isn't going to grip as hard. It's going to have a little bit more give to it. But then in the toe and the heel where the black is, that's rubber. That's going to grip. That's going to help dampen impacts a little bit better as well. This isn't a super high sole on this, which is nice. So you do sit a little bit more lower profile in the boot and just closer to your binding. With the lacing options of this, you notice that you do have two BOA dials. The top one in the front is for the shell. So it's a single BOA on the shell, so you're gonna get a lot more flex. And if you notice with the cloth lace in there, you don't have eyelets in the middle where it crisscrosses anymore. That's because with a steel cable, it would cut. With the cloth cable, it's not going to cut. So if you're one of those people that had problems with eyelets running down the center of the tongue of your boot because you had instep pressure, this will help alleviate that. The knob on the side is for Salomon's Straight Jacket, which this is proprietary to Salomon. And what you actually get with this is two internal harness. And this is a great concept. It's an additional harness to tighten you into the shell of the boot. So the liner has a pull harness on it to tighten you in. The way the Straight Jacket works is with the liner in there, when you crank the BOA, it will tighten that yellow section down over your instep and ankle, really just securing your liner into the shell of the boot. This is just an alternative way to crank your heel and instep so you can tighten yourself into the boot. So if you have heel hold issues, this is something to definitely consider. All right, so we're about halfway through this video, and you know what you haven't done? Giving it a thumbs up. And while you're down there doing that, why don't you subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the programming we've got coming out for you. The liner of the Launch BOA is Salomon's Comfort liner. This is kind of their basic liner that they've used for years. There's nothing really special to it. You get a little fantasy fur around the top that helps slide your heel in. You got your little pull tab with the releases on the side. And then when you open this up, where the orange is, you can see that heel pocket that is deep and aggressive. This is a very V-shaped liner, so if you have heel hold issues, this is something to consider. As this is more of a standard Salomon fit, it is gonna run a little bit narrower. This is the stock insole that comes with this. That is not gonna give you any arch support. Get rid of it, get an aftermarket, you'll thank me for it later. One thing I would like to talk about is the lifespan of this liner. The foam in here isn't crazy stiff, so it's going to break in relatively fast. And it's one of those things that I've noticed with Salomons. These tend to break in a lot easier than others on the market. This is a US 8.5. We're just going to measure the height of the liner inside the shell and see where that comes up to. So this is about 10 3/4 at the back. On the front, we are looking at under 10. Same thing with the sides in that. We're just going to try to measure it. We're going to line it up to the 1 inch mark. And this is about 4 millimeters shy of hitting the 5 inch. So it's almost 4 inches wide at the forefoot. This is not terribly wide. So this is like your C and B width feet, you know? So like if you're going into a D, you're going to be right on the cusp. But if you go up to an E, you're going to want a wider model. Measuring the shell of the boot from the heel to the top is just under 10 inches there. And it's just over 10 inches on the front. On the side, depending where it is, it goes from about 10 down to like 9 3/4. So who do I recommend this boot for? Someone that's got a narrower heel. They might have some ankle hold issues. They've got a little bit of a narrower forefoot in there. You know, someone that doesn't need a wider boot, and someone that wants a freestyle flex. They don't want the most performance-driven boot that's going to be stiff. They want something that's just going to be a lot of meat and potatoes with a couple good features to it. Like what we're doing over here? Want to support us further? Swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. So hopefully we've been able to go through all the features on the launch boa with straight jacket from Salomon here for you. Now you can kind of understand what you're getting with this boot, and hopefully you've been sized properly. You know what you need, because if you're buying online, you might end up having to ship back. But if you're going to your local shop, at least now you know how to talk tech with them on this boot. And if this doesn't sound like the boot for you, why don't you go watch one of our other boot breakdowns?